right, cross-country men, category 2, 50 to 59, 60 plus, and Clydesdales. You guys are doing 2 laps. Remember, be nice to each other. Don't throw anything on the ground. There could be other trail users. Try to be aware. Have fun out there. Let's start in 15 seconds. 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Cross-country men only, category 2, 50 to 59, 60 plus.
And we're off. Heart rate looks pretty reasonable. I'm trying to tell myself that I want to chill. Like normally I go out like way too hard, but I saw how fast these guys went out, and there was no way I was going to be able to stick with that without blowing up. So I know I'm normally a little bit faster than Jose, my teammate. So my plan is here is to kind of stick behind him. So he's the guy in the blue with the yellow old school kit with the yellow bands around the knee. So life is good here. I'm actually pretty comfortable, but I had to work a little bit just to get up to speed. And you can see, like, up the road, I mean, these guys have, like, checked out. Like, there's no way. But we're in the mix, and we're kind of settling in. This is a super fast course, so I don't really know what to expect as far as what I'm going to be able to do and hold. So there goes Jose, so I'm going to stay with him for a while. You know, my thought was, I get to zip around here and go into this corner like I normally would and pass a few people, but it's going to be a long event, and, you know, I'm looking forward to having, like, some sort of climb where that's more or less my forte, and I can gain a lot of speed over some of the bigger men that have just huge aerobic FTP engines that'll just, like, blast on some of the flats. So, life's pretty good, settling in. I'm kind of a little concerned that Jose's letting a little bit of a gap open up, but I think we're still cool. And it's early. You know, trying to keep the adrenaline down, which is usually an issue for me. Usually I'm just like blasting. Like I totally prefer like a hill for a start, where it's like double track, where I can like push a lot of watts and people won't get a huge gap right away. But this thing was such a fast, flat start. And you can see that there's only 4 or 5 people that you can see in front of me because the leaders have totally like checked out. And this was totally different than the Ridgeline Rampage, where you could pretty much see everybody for a while because it was a climb and nobody was going to get away, at least out of sight, within the first couple of minutes. But it's only been like less than 3 minutes and they're pretty much gone. So life looks like it's good. We got a good speed here. This little corner was kind of tricky. That little tape there, I was like, whoa. Kind of worried that might have gotten hung up in somebody's derailleur. But no worries, we made it through safely. So I guess I should mention, like, I've never done this course before. And it's interesting. It's interesting doing a course that you've never seen before. You don't really know where you can, like, blow up and recover. It's just go on for the ride, and hopefully the people in front of you that have done this before and they're actually pacing themselves correctly. Lots of single track here. Like, some of my thoughts are just like to blast and like to go around some people here, but no, it's fast and I'm gonna just hold my place. You know, I told myself earlier, like, I was gonna try to do like some sort of negative splits. Like, normally I go out first lap really fast, and then the second lap I'm like 3 or 4 minutes slower. And looking at the times of my competitors, they slow down way less than I did. So if I like stretch it out a little bit and don't use so much glycogen, I might be cool. But it is a fun course. I mean, it's twisty, it's fast. It is totally the course that the Cannondale just loves. I'm almost wishing that I had one of the newer 29er Cannondale scalpels, because there's a noticeable difference between the way the 650B tire rolls and the 29er, and so it would be an advantage. Like right now, as far as my competitive ability, I'm probably back in, let's make a guess here, 18th, 20th place. So even having that better bike isn't going to make that much of a difference at this point. It might be a little more comfortable, but I think what I got's actually pretty good. Oh, which I should mention is the 2011 Scalpel Ultimate Carbon. It was a 26-inch bike that was converted to a 650B, which actually works really well on these fairly fast, smooth courses. It's kind of twitchy, but for this course, it is perfect. So life is good. Heart rate's like 136, which I think is a little bit low. I think I used the wrist heart rate monitor, so which is like 20 beats lower. So I'm guessing it's really like 156. But mid 160s is like my AT or LT, so I'm still pretty comfortable. Knowing right now that it's a long race, and it looks like I'm actually holding to my goal of not going too hard. So I'm still on Jose, who's moving pretty well here. Pretty happy with his pace. A little bit of a climb, but still the pace is good. I wish I had set the camera angle a little bit higher, because as this race goes down, the camera keeps slipping. Oh, so there I go by Jose. I'm like, up, too much of a gap. We got to get ahead on some of this climb. So I'm saying goodbye to Jose, whom I will see later, fortunately or unfortunately. Still, the heart rate hasn't gone and done too much, even passing Jose. So still 135, 134. We're pretty good. And you can see that like mountain off in the distance there. That's where we're going. And I'd seen this park before. I had walked to this section last year just for fun, because I was going to come out and check out the course, but I didn't actually ride it. So I know this is actually coming. So I want to try to get ahead of some of these people that I think I'm going to be able to climb better than. Of course, that's only a guess. Time to like burn off some adrenaline here, and the work begins. Yeah, I'd say this is, you can't really see the grade, but if I had to guess, it's like 6-7%. It might pitch out at like 10 or 12. This little pitch here might be 12. There you can see the heart rate starting to go out, 137. And we're still in contact, so that's a good feeling. It's always like one of these things, right? Moving up to Cat 2 this year, you want to know if you're going to be competitive or not. And if you're not, you're totally blown out the back. So those leaders have totally checked out. So here's a guy that looks like I'm going to catch him. Heart rate looks fairly low, 133, so it looks like I'm not working that hard. But I think that wrist heart rate monitor is not working all that well. Yeah, but if I have enough to go by, then I can't be hurting too bad. Yeah, it feels kind of good to reel some people in kind of early. Oh, there goes somebody. U.S. Postal guy. Looks like U.S. Postal anyhow. He's not. But, yeah, I'll see him again. I think we go back and forth a little bit. So here the climb steepens a little bit, and I'm pretty happy about this. This is the kind of start that I would have liked to have seen, because, you know, I can push some low RPMs without going aerobic, which is my forte. Yep, going pretty hard here. I think this guy in front of me is like really strong. I think he goes blowing by me like later on in the race, but right now I'm like gaining on him. I'm thinking that my forte is probably like short track or something, or I'm not training enough to really do these longer, harder events. Yeah, I probably need to look some of these guys up and find out exactly like what category are these guys on the road, and check out their results and kind of get an idea of like where I'm at. Used to be in the old days, like when I raced mountain bikes, and I was racing Expert back in New Jersey, and I was a Cat 4 on the road, which I still am now. Cat 3s on the mountain is like I didn't fear them, not an issue. But out here it's a different ball game. So working pretty hard here. Yeah, you can see that carrot up ahead. Yeah, got to believe the heart rate thing is not working right because I know I'm working a lot more than the 133. Oh, there it starts to pop up a little bit. At least showing some relative effort. Like I said, probably 20 beats more, so we're probably talking the mid 160s, if not higher. Or maybe that is about right. I know, like on the trainer, if I'm climbing, riding Zwift or whatever, and pushing big gears, upper 140s are probably all I get. But I'm typically not breathing as hard as I think I am. Finally, top of the climb, chance to recover a little bit. Maybe reel these guys in. Can't really see it, but this is still probably like 4 or 5% grade, maybe even a little more. It's like going 5-6 miles an hour, so it's kind of deceptive. Totally a fun course though, not really good for passing, but it's a fun course. Normally it's like you're doing short track or something like that. You can see a whole snake line of riders, but this is like got so spread out so quickly. So here we go for a little descent. Yeah, I think like early on I didn't hit the button on the fork to give me any kind of cushion. So it's a little jarring, but it's smooth enough that it wasn't an issue. Like later on in the race, I'm like, I gotta press that button, which actually seemed like it was a lot faster. And I kind of wish I'd done that earlier. But like on some of these like little punchy climbs, and my shock button is a little sticky, it doesn't react right away. So I want to be able to punch out real quick and not have that front end just dive on me. Get fun times now. Get a chance to recover. This is what I would have liked to have known like early on. It's like, okay, there's this like punchy little climb that I could like recover on. Oh, there's a guy off in the weeds down there. I don't know if you saw him. I asked him if he was okay. He's good. Like some of these mountain bike courses, it's like tricky, and if you've never seen them before, you make a wrong turn and you could be off like in some weeds, cactus, rocks. I'm always amazed at like how fast like the age groupers are. In the old days I'd be like, oh yeah, he's an old guy, he's 40, he's 50, he's whatever, he's 60. How fast can he be? Well, I get passed by a couple of 60-year-olds out here, so how fast can they be? Like that fast. Oh, and I guess I should say, like, I've only ridden the mountain bike like 3 times this year, and this is the 3rd one. The first 2 were also races. First one, Ridgeline Rampage. Second one was like short track. So I don't have a lot of mountain bike time, and my skills are okay, but this is not my bike of choice. I usually ride my enduro bike, so getting used to this thing and being able to like take advantage of railing the corners on this, I can see I'm like losing time, but I could be relaxing. So here's where the camera's like, it's starting to slip down more and more and more. I'm like, hate that when it happens. I think I need to move the mount someplace. Maybe put it on the fork, but it's a lot more jittery there. I think I'm gonna have to put some safety pins on the straps to keep the camera from like floating down like that. But the good news is in this video, probably like a half hour later, I actually adjust the camera so it's like much better again. But now, I'll have to like deal with it. Yeah, super fast, super swoopy. This is where the big guys are making lots of gains. I think I looked up the road here. You can't really see it here, but like the leaders are like way up the top of that hill already. I'm like, what the? They must have been like pushing like super hard. I would have loved to have seen like what that pack looked like how close together were they. But the good news is we're having fun. You know, there's my heart rate's now. It's like in the 140s, so I'm guessing it's really 160. So yeah, I'm working comfortable. Still telling myself that I don't want to push super hard, but like when you see people in front of you, it's like it is hard just to let them go. So I'm using them as kind of a carrot to keep me pulled along here. And I'm certain others are behind me using me for the same thing, which is something that I'm always cognizant of because they're going to want to come by me if I'm not going fast enough. So I definitely want to hold this position because you get caught back in some single track behind people, and you know, you just waste time just sitting there, or you waste a lot of matches just trying to go by them. Looks like we're climbing again, and I'm actually kind of happy about it. Keeps the big engines that are heavy like at bay, so they're not totally at least walking away on the flats. Yep, looks like I'm pulling these guys in. And I believe these guys that have passed me before, at least there's some double track. Strong men. One thing about this race is just kind of cool is that everybody has their like category on their calf, so you can see like what category they're actually in. And I think that guy who just passed me in the blue, he's like in the 60 plus category. You know, at some point I was thinking, gee, I can't wait till I'm 60. I'll be able to kick some ass. And like, I guess that's really not so true. Yeah, heart rate's up there. Looks like I think we can go around this guy. I think I'm feeling pretty good here. Would have been nice to have some road section, but I guess not. This guy jumps in here. I guess, you know, having a rear view mirror, and I should have a mirror on or something so I could see like how many people are actually behind me. I guess I didn't mention it, but I crashed at the Ridgeline Rampage when some guy was coming behind me and tried to sneak in after someone announced, and I didn't see him, and we hooked handlebars, and I went down, banged my knee. You know, this guy in this what I call U.S. Postal Kit, which really isn't. Like, he was pretty aggressive, and he did not announce himself when he passed me. So I was like, not too happy about that. You know, and then I was always announcing myself when I came by. Like, even there, when that guy came back over, it's like he almost took my front wheel out. So it looks like we're starting to run into some traffic from the 40 plus group. Yeah.
On your right?
Yeah, there's my buddy Derek. He actually, you know, works at used to work with me at HP. Used to ride with me on the Tuesday ride. This is his first year racing, so we caught his group, and it looks like we're going past a couple more. So at this point, I'm not on the rivet, but you know, I'm just trying to stay with these guys, and passing people does take a little bit of effort, and you definitely want to hold your place in the chain. Pretty happy that I'm actually like feeling like I'm competitive with like these guys. You know, it sucks to be like being passed by everybody, and then you find yourself like totally alone, and you've got no carrot to chase. Looks like the heart rate's it's getting up there, 143. So yeah, so we're comfortably like at a pace that we can hold for a while. Yeah. Yep, there I'm announcing myself, trying to go by. Yeah, I can see since I'm easily able to go with this guy, clearly like I've got some extra horsepower here. But yep. Thought about going by here, but then these guys saw this guy go by and they picked the pace up, so I'm like, alright. Some matches I don't have to burn going in the weeds. However, I do have to try to keep these guys in sight. which I think only lasts for so long. So I'm like, I don't know what those guys were looking for as far as motivation, but they look like they're checking out, if I recall correctly. Yeah, my heart rate's up to like 143, 144, so we are totally working at this time. Got more riders to go by. Can't see what's on his cap. I think he was a 50 plus guy, so we're good. Ooh, speed's like 17, which doesn't actually look like it, like in the video, but 18. But you know, keep that kind of speed with a mountain bike. It takes a little bit of effort. Like the one thing I really wish I had is like a power meter, you know, for the mountain bike. But like $2,000-3,000, not cool. But it's definitely, it would be nice to have it, you know, looking back and you can see exactly like how hard we're actually working. So I took this telemetry off of my Garmin Vivo Active, which I think is better than the telemetry that actually came with the Garmin. The Garmin like Hero has GPS and stuff in it, but the first time I rendered this, it just looked like it was totally like lagging and whack. So the Vivo did a lot better as far as the rendering, so I was good with that. But having power in there, that would be like so sweet. I thought of putting grade in there because those calculations can be done, but the grade was like so far off that it was just a distraction of like how wrong it was, so I left it off of there. You know, occasionally it got it right, but I think having that thing on my wrist and with the wrist moving around on a mountain bike, it's not able to accurately, especially on a mountain bike, calculate grade, so we'll just leave it there. So this was like a sticky section. Like, I don't want to say hero dirt, maybe it was. Not pleasant as far as trying to push through this. And maybe this is where the 29-inch wheels would have rolled a lot better, because those guys in front, they're kind of checking out. And it seemed like they just got motivation or something when that guy passed. It's like, what is up with that? Nope, there goes that 60-year-old guy again going past me. Not bad. He definitely has the competitive spirit. Here comes somebody else. Moving pretty good. I thought about going with them, but don't have anything. Yep, more people coming by. That's a nice bike. I don't know what that was. So clearly there's a couple guys that were behind me. They're in the 50-plus group that got by me. So I must have had a fairly decent start and had a decent position. And I know that if I knew this was only going to be one lap, I think I could have pushed a little bit harder. I definitely would have pushed a little bit harder. But at least I'm like in the thick of things. You know, at some point I'll have to go look at the Strava and see like what the flybys look like. Hopefully all these guys were using Strava. That would have been pretty cool to actually see what that looked like. Yep, I can see some people up the road. Looks like I might be gaining on some people. People are slowing down a little bit. People are passing me as they start to settle in. I think some of the smarter, faster racers that are better at pacing themselves, you know, or just going a little bit less, and then as the race warms up, they kind of get into it. I think this race is easier. It's definitely easier than Ridgeline Rampage. I think I actually finished this maybe half hour faster than the other one, even though the distances were about the same, because of the, you know, the extra vertical or whatever. So I'm thinking on this one, I probably could have gone a little bit harder in the beginning. I tried to make up for that on the second lap, which sort of kind of worked, but was still a little bit of like too little too late, maybe not enough training. Probably need to do a few more races. Yeah, so you can see the camera angle starting to go to the left a little bit, up to the left. That's that strap on the chesty had actually come loose, and so it doesn't make for a very pleasant video. Just staring at my handlebars. So I figure, yeah, I'll talk to it anyhow, because like I'll probably watch this like years from now and go like, oh yeah, I did that race. That was cool. What did that look like? What was I thinking? What do I remember thinking? Well, I remember thinking at this point, like, I just want to kind of hold my place and using these guys as carrots. Look at the heart rate's got up to like 148, so I'm definitely working now. Holding these guys in sight. And they're not really getting away just yet. So this little pitch must have been like 22% as I stand up to get over that one. Now for a little bit of respite. And this is where I think these guys started checking out a little bit. This is where there's some little jumps which you can't really see. Unfortunately, it's like a sad camera angle, so all you see is like stuff like right underneath the front wheel. But if I had the enduro bike, I'd have been going a little bit faster through there. But still not bad. But those guys got some distance. I think there's going to be a turnaround point up here, and I'm going to get a gander at how many people are actually behind me. And there's like people chasing, which is like, oh, I need to hold my position, otherwise I will be passed. Now, the one thing about the way this race is run, where they start groups off every like 2 minutes or whatever, you don't know if these people are in the next group, behind you, or whatever. So it's hard to know. The only way you'll know is like after they finally pass you and you check their calf and you go like, oh yeah, that was like I'm in my group. Which actually happened to me at the very last lap. You know, I let some guy go by me who was in my category. I think I could have held him off, and he beat me by, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds or so. And I was like, oh crap, he's in my category. I could have held him off. Oh well. You know, although fighting for like, at that point, 19th place, not exactly something that's maybe worth wasting a lot of matches for, but it's all fun. Looks like I'm starting to reel these guys in a little bit of a climb. This is where, like I said before, like this bike is a climbing bike, not super technical, and I can gain some advantage with that. So I don't think I'm as fast as I was last year. At least I wasn't at the Ridgeline Rampage. I was like 6 minutes a lap slower. And I think that's due to like a weight gain. Started doing this body boot camp class with like crunches and like a lot of strength work. And the scale just started shooting up. And since it was all like upper body and core work, I'm figuring that that's where the weight went. And of course that's not helping. That being said, given a choice between having some dweeb like, you know, roadie body, or like being generally like just more fit with more core strength, I'll take it. I figure speed will come if I train harder, but you know, giving up a few pounds and being a little more fit in a general sense is probably a good call. Anyway, back to the race. Still in there. Life is good.
Likewise. Good job. You got it.
Yeah, so there's that guy I passed earlier on the hill, early on. And probably some other guy that I had passed also. And those guys have reeled me in, so clearly like 10-15 second difference is probably all I ever got on these guys.
Yeah, one more. Cool, thanks.
Okay, at least they caught somebody. Using these guys to pull me along a little bit. But I can't hold their pace. See the heart rate now like 151, so it's probably like 170 actually. So in the old days when I was racing like Sport Expert back in New Jersey, I could hold like 184 for the entire race. In fact, even when I was in, you know, my 40s, I could hold that for like a good period of time, and I still had like a max of like 196 back when I was like 45, 46, like the years where I did like Leadville. But now it's like every year it's just, yeah, I just gotta recalibrate my mind to like, oh yeah, I can only hold like this heart rate, even though the effort feels the same, and I'm probably not as fast. So it looks like a little more than half the race, or half the first lap is over. And then we're doing okay, high heart rate, but we're still doing okay. You know, this point I was thinking it was time to like push a little bit more, knowing how fast I thought I was going to get done with this lap. And it was okay to try to stay with these guys. The start, and you didn't notice it so much out here, but there was a wind, a strong headwind. So I know the guys that took off first got a huge draft. And had I known that wind was going to be that strong, I probably would have tried to position myself a little higher just to take advantage of that draft in the start. You know, because just like 10 or 15 seconds, big difference in having to like burn matches getting by people that, you know, aren't as fast as you and fighting that wind. Working hard, camera's dropping. It's a nice view of my handlebars. So this was a steep little pitch, and I was hoping to be able to gain some advantage here, but I was kind of surprised at how fast these guys were actually able to climb here.
Go up the left, baby. Yeah, it's nice. Right, you can slide in here.
Yeah, there's another guy on a Cannondale. Rigid. Probably a little lighter than this bike. I added the dropper to this bike, you know, for some of the more technical races, which added maybe almost 2 pounds to it. And I think that was like a big deal, but, you know, having gained some weight, if I could take some off the bike, that might have given me like, I don't know, another 20 seconds or so. Lock and load. Nice little section where you can get some respite. This bike feels kind of sketch in this stuff. Still fast, but probably like my lack of actually like riding the thing this year. And it's got these like little narrow ruts, which it's really easy to get caught and have those things kind of throw you off into the weeds a little bit. So it took a little bit of focus to keep the bike in check. Probably end up using a little more brake than I needed to in some of these corners. And you can notice now, like, the people that you could see just a little bit, even with this, like, you know, diminished view, it's like, I can't see them anymore. They must have been flying. So, I'm going to attribute that to the 29-inch wheels, which clearly roll better. Because I didn't think I was slowing down that much. And on that descent, I'm like, whoa. So take a look up there. Look at that distance these guys gained on me. You know, and so maybe it's not so much my strength, you know. Maybe I just need to, like, work on some bike handling. Try to go down that fast stuff a little faster. Or maybe it's not bike handling. Maybe I just need to ride a mountain bike. Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. And get some more practice on this mountain bike. Yeah, I think the choice of tire pressure was good. I think I was running like 17 front, 18 rear. And on this course, that seemed to work out pretty well. Maybe a few more pounds would have made this thing a little faster. But didn't spend a lot of time playing. Probably if I was like serious, I would have come out like the weekend before and played with some tire pressures and had some scientific method of determining that, you know, this pressure is faster than that one. But, I was comfortable if nothing else. Well, I must have been pushing pretty hard here. Heart rate in the 150s, either that or the Garmin Vivo Active is like picking up a little bit better. Like during that turnaround, I could see that there were riders that were like chasing me. Didn't know what group they're in or anything, but you know, it's not like I was totally off the back. After looking at what I see in front. So there's a guy, he's in my group. I remember starting with him. He's pushing pretty hard. And I could just almost stay with him. You know, I can see that he's put a little something on and try to put some distance between me and him. Yeah, it's always nice that when you pass someone, you got to do that with authority so that they don't think about coming back on you. Looks like I must have stood up here on this little one. Try to bring this guy back. Thinking maybe I should have maybe stood up more, but at the time, you know, trying to save my legs. Yeah, so even that, yeah, he's gaining on me. just checking out, and just slowly. It's like if I had 29-inch wheels, would that have made a little bit of a difference here? I don't know. Maybe. I think about how much nicer that enduro bike rolls. And since I got some ZTR crests for that and some fairly fast rolling wheels, it would have been faster on this course. At least the non-climbing sections. Yeah, maybe I'll race that one next time, or take it out here to see what that feels like. Like 18 mile an hour on this, probably not too shabby. Might be like a 1% grade negative. It felt pretty flat at the time. Trying to stay in the blue groove area to keep that bike fast. Oh. There goes that young lady from, I don't know what group maybe she was 50 plus or the pro women or something, but she's pretty fast and smooth. I was using her as a carrot. Tried to stay with her for a little while. Definitely nice to have somebody in front of you, because then you get a chance to see some of the lines, knowing if there's something crazy coming up or not. Probably need to do some speed analysis or something, comparing my first and second lap. Go check out some segments. Still feeling pretty good here. One thing about this race is that it was so fast that I tried to get a drink whenever I could, whenever I thought about it. And as far as eating, like, I probably could have used a gel somewhere in there, but it just seemed like I was just going so fast most of the time that I didn't even think about like going out and getting any, even though I had the gels like stuffed in my bib shorts, where I could have just ripped them out quite easily and just sucked it down. Yeah, it looks like the camera's sliding down even further and further and further. But at least there's the occasional glimpse of people. So it looks like that female rider caught the guy in front of me that just passed me. So it looks like we're getting pretty close to the end of one lap. Maybe another half a mile to go or so. Yeah, maybe 2 miles. Oh yeah, here's that muddy section. I was like, oh snap. And I was trying to ride like in the grass a little bit to kind of keep the tires clean or whatever. Definitely did not want to get into the sticky mud. Yep, still keeping that young lady in check, so life is good. This is actually a really fun little twisty, whoopy section. Oh, there's another young lady, probably in the same category as the woman ahead. Hey, a couple of them there. I'm like, whoa, you go, girls. Yep, just kind of trying to hang on here. Definitely good to have people in front for some motivation. Still feeling pretty comfortable as far as like my fitness level and all. No cramping. Not going that hard. So I guess I should mention that even in the past couple races, I haven't cramped. Like Ridgeline Rampage, like 2 years ago, I was on the verge of or last year, I was on the verge of cramping, and I needed some gels to take that away. But this year, didn't really happen. My legs got fatigued and all, but they were nowhere near the point where I thought they were going to cramp. So I'm guessing that could be because I've been doing Zwift more, getting in some good trainer miles. Even though I was slower, but I'm going to attribute that slowness to my my tonnage that I've gained, like 8 pounds. That's a lot. And then adding another like 2 pounds to the bike because of the dropper, which I didn't have the year before. Yeah, so we're talking a 10-pound difference. That could definitely like make for some slower times. Looks like maybe it's about 40 minutes now already. Still feeling pretty good. There's other riders that like slowly checked out. It's like I'm almost there. It's like just a half a mile an hour more. You know, another 10 watts. What a difference. And maybe that's from like not racing that much, or not doing any like really super hard like mountain bike rides. You know, the previous year I'd done some mountain biking. Like this year it's like nothing except for racing. You know, the weather has been like so bad, and with other events coming in, you know, no riding. And I guess I did take off that weekend to go do that 5K, you know, and I could have been riding some mountain or something. You know, I think it was kind of wet that day and the trails were closed, so I think that's probably why I did that. And it's been really, really wet and snowy, and the season wasn't that good for outdoor riding. Although I did get in a fair amount of fat biking, but that's, you know, several weeks before when you're racing, and the intensity in the fat biking, you know, just isn't there. But I'm certain it added, you know, and made for a really good base. Yep, heart rate's still up there, 146. So now I've settled in. Maybe there's a little bit of cardiac creep. I probably had a little more like water in my Camelback than I actually needed, because when I was done, I hadn't drank it all. So that's another place I could have probably gotten rid of some extra weight. But not knowing how fast this course was going to be, had a little more in there. So it's the end of the first lap, and I'm probably thinking that the next lap I can start to hammer. Oh, stream crossing. Yeah, yuck. Ugh. I was not too pleased about that. I'm like, there was a bridge there, and like some of the people like went around the bridge, onto the bridge, that like, but that was not part of the course. And maybe because the bridge would have been slick, you know, with all the mud and stuff, and they wanted to prevent any accidents, but not fun. So apparently, like, it had rained like just the day before, but this soil is like sandy enough that it absorbed most of it. So it's actually, you know, conditions are actually pretty good. Like last year, this race was well, this race on this date was canceled, and then they found a new venue, and the new race was out in Frisco, and that was much more of a mountain bikey course. You know, I'd taken the Cannondale out there, and it was definitely a hindrance. At those 26-inch wheels or 27.5 in that type of soil, you could see it definitely didn't roll as fast as the 29ers, and it was rocky and chunky enough that couldn't take advantage of descending. Nope, another young lady. You know, it's like this year, like, at least even at the Rampage, I got passed by some of the 50-plus females, you know, the leaders. That didn't happen the previous year. Probably need to buckle down and train more. But all in all, so far, like Mark, the guy who won the Cat 3 series like last year, he's still behind me. So I'm like, well, I can't suck too badly. At least not in the first lap. And Jose is still behind me. That's about to change. But so I know I'm not horrible. That little punchy little climb. It's amazing how this all gets like flattened out in the video. So I think the bike's actually working pretty well. Yeah, the only thing I need to work on is maybe put a little grease or some oil on the shock lockout, because it's super sluggish. So I didn't use it as much because it was super sluggish. Probably would have saved me 5 or 10 seconds. 'Cause I would have used it a little bit more. But the few times I did, and I ended up like fiddling with it just to get it back to the state that I wanted. Yep, more people passing me. That was another young lady. What if this is like the 30+ females or something? I can go check the race order and find out. Yep, once again, another carrot kind of pull me along for a little bit. I guess the bad news is that she probably pulled along like some of my competitors that'll be behind me shortly. Wow, my heart rate's really high, so I must have been pushing pretty hard to like stay with her, or it's just cardiac creep. But probably wanted to take advantage of this like fast section, so we're doing what, like 20 mile an hour? Yeah. So hoping to put distance between those people that are behind me. It is a fun course though. You know, if you're going to come out and just have a fun, swoopy day of non-technical stuff, like I wouldn't mind racing this on a single speed. If I had the right gearing, that could be a rush. In fact, I should probably look into doing a single speed category or something. You know, if I'm not going to be competitive in the Cat 2s, I might as well go out and have some fun. And a single speed might be one way to do it. Just get the gearing right and go for it. Okay, so there goes Jose, my teammate who I passed earlier. So I'm like, okay, we got motivation now. That I want to at least try to keep him in check. He usually beats me. In fact, he has in pretty much like every race. And I'm pretty certain I'm like cognizant of that. And I'm like, okay, it's going to be the second lap, and let's go for it. You know, he's on a 29er. His bike's probably a little bit smoother. Yeah, and come to think about it, like I always start faster than him. You know, Breck 32 last year, Ridgeline Rampage, the other races last year. I started faster, and then he ended up like passing me. And his cadence, you know, I was looking at it, it's like super smooth and like high. This is probably where if I could have taken a gel, it might have helped a little bit later on. Okay, so there's the camera adjustment. Yay. So now we get a decent view again. Yeah, and we're pretty close to getting the first lap done. And he's just kind of walking away. I'm kind of thinking like I should be able to reel him in maybe like on the hill later on. But I suspect that he stepped up his game for a second lap. In fact, we were both ended up faster second laps than the first lap. But his second lap was faster than my second lap. Yeah. Oh, looks like he's even starting to reel in like the people that had passed us earlier. He's kind of pulling me along. Like, so 150 heart rate. Yeah, I'm definitely pushing. Of course, I knew that. It's like, got to stay with Jose again. And it looks like I was able to bring him back just a little bit. You know, maybe he's taking it easy or... And here we come, I believe, to the, yep, start-finish area. So it's about 50 minutes and some change. Yeah, it's amazing how much faster this is than the Ridgeline Rampage. Because we were talking like an hour and 12 for the first lap.
Hey, Enrique, how's it going? Can you get by?
Yep, going by local Foco rider, Enrique. And he's probably doing a marathon or something. Or pulling off to get some food because he's doing a marathon or something. Back onto the course. I guess I could use the excuse. I'm like, yeah, you know, Jose's a little younger than I am. So, yeah, maybe that's why he's faster. No, I'm not going there. But he's definitely pulling me along here. Kind of looking for some signs of weakness, but I didn't see any. And just looking at his cadence, look how smooth that is. It's just like a sewing machine. And if you had a camera on my legs, my cadence would be like much slower. I guess I'm much more of a power, fast twitch guy. Super cool though to be at least riding with a teammate out there. And you can see slowly, Jose's like walking away from me. And I'm trying to like bring him back. I'm like, if I could just get some, you know, a few feet to pull him back in, but that's just not happening. And he seems to be just a little bit smoother than I am in some of these corners. And I just find myself like having to brake a little bit more, just wasting energy. You know, maybe it's the difference between the 26 or 27.5 and 29-inch tires. You know, they roll a little bit better, have a little more grip. I can hear my bike creaking. Might be some of the carbon somewhere. And it wasn't too annoying when I was riding, but like listening to the video, I'm like, oh yeah. Yep, there's the big mountain. So I'm thinking, I'm like, yeah, okay. I think I climbed this better than Jose the first time. Let's see what I can do. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do anything here, as he's just walking away. And it's just like ever so slowly. Yeah, I'm starting to push. I can see the 149 heart rate, so I'm definitely starting to push, and the grade is going up now, so My hopes were, okay, we're gonna bring him back slowly and I'll be on his wheel. Alright, somebody passes me. Probably somebody that I had passed before. Another guy with like a super smooth cadence. Yeah, and the speed is slowed.
Nice work.
Another one of those young ladies from the probably 30 plus group, 35. It's kind of a testament to like how I've slowed down since the old days. Maybe. Because it used to be that the groups from behind never really caught up. Or it could be we're in Colorado and everybody's just freaking fast out here. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But we're climbing and climbing. So my hopes were dashed here because like Jose is climbing like a beast. You know, he totally must get like warmed up much later. Or I'm getting tired, but I don't think my climb's that much slower. Maybe it was, but there was a lot more traffic in the first lap, so I got freedom. So I really can't use that as an excuse. And I think like my heart rate's like a lot higher now than it was on the first climb, so I don't know what's going on here. But away we go. Up, 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 up and away. I'm still feeling pretty good on the climb. It's not like I'm like dying and I can't put out the horsepower. Like I'm able to pretty much stay with these other riders, or at least, you know, they're not walking away from me to the point where I'm like slowing down and I've like given up. I'm still there, so maybe a little more training, but definitely kind of an eye-opening experience being in the Cat 2s. It's kind of the way it was before they actually had the categories, when it was like open. Then there was the Cat 3 where I did pretty well. It's like, oh, okay, I'm competitive, you know, top 5s, and then, you know, come to the Cat 2s and it's like, oh. But the good news is I'm not last. So I think like when it was all said and done, I was 20th out of like 28. Not horrible. And since I think I'm slower than I was last year, there's like lots of room for improvement. You know, if I made like mountain biking my focus, which I'm not going to because it's now something to do for fun. You know, a lot of these guys that all they do is eat, sleep, drink, breathe, training and equipment and all that. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna enjoy this sport and I'm gonna use it for motivation to stay fit, but I'm not gonna get all obsessed with stuff. Alright, almost to the top of the climb, just a little bit of grade left. At this point, like, Jose's like checked out. I'm like, and every once in a while I like catch a glimpse of him. Just like, I guess a 0.1 mile an hour faster. Yeah, it's probably the difference in like the correct tire pressure and like 2 watts. You know, if I had like lighter shoes or less water in my pack or no dropper post, or you know, was able to take a gel in or something like that. Maybe even just the handling differences, right? Just getting used to the bike. Because this little descent here, although it wasn't that tricky, I did have to brake. And I was looking at some of the Strava mile per hour, some of the people that came flying down through this thing. I'm like, they were literally like 30 to 50% faster than I was on this section. So probably the Cat 1 guys, you know, the guys that have the skill enough to be with the UCI pros. You know, as you can see, like, you know, a few seconds on a climb isn't that much, but a few seconds on a descent, and people are just like checking out. Like I could have done that corner better. I lost a little bit of speed there. All right. This is, you know, I know there's people in front of me. It's like one of these lonely things. It's like, all right, you're just cruising, no carrot in front of you that's that close. You know, I'm thinking, okay, where's Jose? Where's Jose? He's got to be someplace out there. You know, at 18, 19, 20 mile an hour down this thing. And I think, you know, there were people that were doing like 35. In this corner, you know, if I was more confident, I could have railed this corner better than I did. Yeah, so last year they actually ran this course in the opposite direction, which they said it was like easier or whatever. I was good with it this direction. Maybe it made for a better start with that climb like right away. So I'm thinking that I know my GoPro ran out of juice, like probably in a mile or two. So probably about it for my rambling commentary. Good times though. You know, I definitely tried pushing harder on the second lap. Still felt good. I think I could have used a few more matches on the first lap, but you know, that's hindsight. Probably not. Yeah, heart rate 148, 147. Yeah, I'm pushing pretty good, so definitely I'd made a decision on this second lap that it's time to, like, you know, burn all the matches that we've got. Climbing time. And I think way in the distance I can see Jose, but it's like I'm like, damn, he checked out. Yeah, 152 heart rate. Yeah, so I'm definitely going for it now. Maybe I can reel these guys in. Yeah, it would have been cool. You know, a top 15 would have guaranteed me a spot at Nationals. Not that I wanted to go to Nationals, but would have been cool. Just to say that I qualified for Nationals in case I felt like going to Nationals. But, oh well, c'est la vie. Yeah, maybe I'll pony up some money for a power meter for this bike. Not. But maybe some pedals, because that'd be very, very interesting. Oops, somebody going by me. I think I probably passed him like earlier on. So maybe everybody's just like throwing it down on the second lap. Or maybe I'm just more of a short track type racer. Yeah, maybe next week short track, I'll just go out there and just throw it down. See if that's really my forte. At least I'm staying with this guy. Maybe it was his final push just to get by me, and he burned up too many matches. Nope, he's looking good. But he did have to stand up on that climb, so who knows? And it looks like I'm gaining some ground on him. Does it look like, oh yeah, a little something in the tank. Yep, look, a little double track. Put him behind me again. Make him, he earned it, but he couldn't hold it. Yeah, that happens a lot, you know, people like they push by and then they kind of recover a little bit, and you know, you be careful at who you're actually passing because they might have a little something. Definitely provide some motivation. Looks like I might be catching a few more riders. Actually, I think I did on this second lap. See that climb coming up. I think I looked up at that climb and I'm like, damn, Jose's already at the top of that climb, or it was somewhere around this period. Anyway. Yeah, that rear view mirror will be nice to see like who's behind me. Someone's behind me. Yeah, and to see what that guy looked like that I had just passed. Maybe I get one of those spy window little concave mirrors that sits inside your glasses. Maybe a handlebar mirror. Tee. Alright, that's probably about enough of my commentary for now. Woohoo, I got somebody. I'm totally trying not to get passed by those guys that I just left. There's some pretty good speeds coming down off of that. Was that somebody up the road there? It's only been like maybe an hour and 10 minutes, so this is like a lap and a half where, like, at the ridge line, I'd just been maybe finishing the first lap. Actually, for this year's time, not. So I don't know if I recognize this guy. Yep, didn't see his calf, but you know that's what happens. He's going hard, and he's totally slowed down. Yeah, for next year I'll know that this is a fast race, and to be prepared, less water. Alright, I'll just let the video speak for itself now. Party on, guys.